chysgod y plygain yn drwm Marlais wyth. Clywodd ryddfarnau yn esgyn o'r cymoedd, plygodd I wrando a'i bwys ar ei glyd. A'i galon yn gwaedu dros gyflwr ei wlad. Breuddwyd oedd amino ei genedl ranedig, chwifiodd ei gleddu fy mhoeth er y gad. Plygodd I farw dan gysgod y creigiau, canodd wrth hynno a gwenodd drwy hyn. Gwelodd y wawrydd yn gwynnu'r mynyddoedd, a'i genedl yn olau'r dyfodol yn un.
The Life of Dylan Thomas. Dylan Marlais Thomas was a renowned Welsh poet and writer, known for his lyrical and evocative writing style. Born on October 27, 1914, in Swansea, Wales, Thomas was the son of David John Thomas, a schoolmaster, and Florence Hannah Williams, a seamstress. He was the second of 3 children and grew up in a middle-class household in the town of Uplands. From a young age, Thomas showed a flair for writing and was an avid reader. He attended grammar school in Swansea, where his father taught English. It was here that he was first introduced to the works of poets such as William Shakespeare, John Milton, and Gerard Manley Hopkins, who would go on to influence his own writing. At the age of 16, Thomas left school and began working as a junior reporter for the South Wales Daily Post. He wrote articles on a wide range of topics, from local events to sports, but his true passion lay in poetry. He would often spend his evenings writing and submitting his poems to various magazines and publications. In 1933, at the age of 19, Thomas moved to London to pursue a career in writing. He worked as a freelance writer for magazines such as the New English Weekly and the Sunday Referee, and also wrote scripts and voiceovers for the BBC. It was during this time that he became a part of the literary group known as their Bloomsbury set, which included writers such as T.S. Eliot and George Orwell. In 1934, Thomas published his first book of poetry, 18 Poems, which received critical acclaim and established him as a rising star in the literary world. His poems were characterized by their rich imagery and use of language, which captured the essence of his Welsh heritage and the beauty of nature. He often incorporated themes of love, death, and the human condition in his works, which resonated with readers. Over the next few years, Thomas continued to write and publish his poetry, including his most famous work, Under Milkwood. This radio drama was first broadcast in 1954 and was later adapted into a stage play. It depicted the lives of the residents of a fictional Welsh fishing village, and Thomas himself provided the narration for the original broadcast. In 1937, Thomas married Caitlin McNamara, an Irish dancer, and the couple had 3 children together, Llewellyn, Erinwy, and Colm. Their relationship was tumultuous, with both Thomas and Caitlin having affairs, and their marriage was often strained. However, they remained together until Thomas' death. During the 1940s, Thomas travelled extensively, giving poetry readings and lectures in the United States and Canada. He gained a large following and became a popular figure in the literary circles of New York and Hollywood. His fame also brought with it a reputation for heavy drinking and a wild lifestyle, which would eventually take a toll on his health. In 1945, Thomas published Deaths and Entrances, a collection of poems that explored themes of mortality and loss. It was also during this time that he began writing his play for voices, Under Milkwood. The play was a departure from his previous works, as it was written in prose and was more light-hearted in tone. It was well received by critics and solidified Thomas' reputation as a master of language. In the late 1940s, Thomas' health began to deteriorate due to his excessive drinking and smoking. He suffered from bouts of depression and was hospitalized several times for alcohol-related illnesses. Despite his struggles, he continued to write and publish his poetry, including collected poems in 1952, which was hailed as his finest work. In 1953, Thomas and his family moved to the small Welsh town of Laugharne, where he found solace and inspiration in the quiet countryside. It was here that he completed Under Milkwood and wrote some of his most well-known poems, such as Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night and Fern Hill. On November 9, 1953, Thomas embarked on a reading tour of the United States, which would prove to be his last. He was in poor health and suffered from exhaustion, but he continued to perform and charm audiences with his powerful voice and captivating readings. However, on November 5, 1953, Thomas collapsed in his New York hotel room and was rushed to the hospital. He slipped into a coma, and after 4 days, he passed away at the age of 39. Thomas' death was a shock to the literary world, and his legacy continues to live on through his works. His influence can be seen in the works of poets such as Sylvia Plath, Ted Hughes, and Seamus Heaney. His poems have been translated into numerous languages and are taught in schools and universities worldwide. In 1982, Thomas' hometown of Swansea opened the Dylan Thomas Centre, a museum and cultural centre dedicated to his life and works. Today, he is celebrated as one of the greatest poets of the 20th century, and his words continue to inspire and move readers around the world. As he once wrote, "The memories of childhood have no order and no end." And indeed, the memories of Dylan Thomas and his extraordinary talent will live on for generations to come.